See the document, right?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
It's at the bottom.
There we go. Three, two, one. Hello again, and welcome to Ankeny Ratcast, where today I'm going to be joined by Grant Harris and also Jesse Shafer, two brand new hosts. Today we got lots to talk about, so let's just jump right in. Welcome to Ankeny Retcast, and welcome to AR3. Um, we played not too long ago, and it was an interesting game. All right, a lot happened. Going into the game, talking about expectations, we're going to be going over plays. Specifically, we're going to be analyzing some film. I've cut some clips here, so we're just going to go ahead and kind of jump right into that. Now, Team Reese versus Team Ryan. Going in, we had some drafting errors. We had a lot going on pregame, and it was expected that Team Ryan was going to be a little bit overpowered. It seems like the guess grading of the teams was wrong. So just to get a review of the score, the player of the game, the final score was Team Reese 41, Team Ryan 33, and this score has in fact been confirmed by our stats researchers, by both myself and Grant. So we do have a confirmed score here. Player of the game goes to Zach Clark with a very impressive stat line. Grant, Jesse, one at a time. Grant first. Let me just kind of hear your opinion on the game in general.
I thought the game was, I thought, a bit messier than the first. I think that was just due to missing some key players and um, that sorts. It was also kind of a messy week with the draft, and I don't really think everyone's head was in the game completely.
All right, Jesse, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd call it an interesting game. I would say that. I'm just glad no one got hurt like last time. Uh there were some messy it was messy. There were some messy plays. Uh no one had that good of a stat line. Uh there was just better than other stat lines.
So let's
And
just kind of
yeah.
go over some of the key players in the game. The three that got spotlighted, this being Zach Clark, myself, and Reese Doak. Starting off with Clark's stat line, a very solid 8 points for his team. But the main highlight of his game, was 13 rebounds, also managing to get a steal and an assist in there. Very solid stat line from him. Very impressive off the glass, and really most of those rebounds came late in the game, where he was able to make a massive difference. Team Reese was able to just out rebound Team Ryan towards the end, and that's what helped seal the victory. My own stat line, 6 points, but I did manage to walk away with 16 rebounds. And then also 8 blocks. Really kept it going on the defense there for the whole game, and I feel like defense was a very important part for both teams in that. And then probably the most important player of these games here, Reese Doak, dropping 11 points, a career high in AR3. Also managing to net 4 rebounds, which is very beneficial for his team. What are your guys' opinions on both of these players here?
I thought Clark had a very good game. I thought he started off a bit slow, but towards the end, he was a complete beast on the boards. I mean, he had like his rebounds were equivalent to daggers. Like it was insane how amazing he was on the boards.
Yeah,
Jesse?
I mean that he just had so many rebounds. I think just being a little bit less selfish with putting him right back up. I don't think he should be doing that with the entire team on him. But passing the ball more, and I think he would have had a very impressive stat line.
All right, and then what about our two highlight players being myself and Reese? Grant, I know you spoke extensively in private chats about Reese's performance. Would you like to go ahead and bring that up?
Oh, for sure. I believe that Reese was, in my personal opinion, I thought Reese was the player of the game. Clark played well towards the end, and he kind of closed it out. But Reese is really what got us that win. Without him, I don't think we get out to that early lead, and without that early lead, I think it's probably a closer game, and I think we have a higher chance of losing it.
All right, Justin, your thoughts about both of those players?
Yeah, I'm a little biased because I think I had a very good stat line, but I'll respect everyone giving it to Reese, and he had a very impressive game. He had some heat check moments where he was spotting up from half court, but yeah, he kind of led the team.
All right, so let's get into the real analysis part of the game before we go over our busts, our booms, and we're also going to be grading every player live. It's going to be a debate of us three. We're going to be grading them. But before we do that, I think it's important that we really analyze some parts of the game. So I'm going to go ahead, share my screen here. I'm going to ask that everybody hops on this. And we're going to go over just a couple clips here. And I've gotten myself a couple points that I think are pretty important to this game. So let's just go over the very first clip. This is early in the game. Noah's going to be passing the ball out from underneath. And he's going to turn it over right into the hands of Zach Clark. This happened all game. Black team was turning the ball over, specifically Noah Gossman making these very bad decisions. And of course, they're going to get a very nice layup opportunity here. And Reese is going to get it started early. You're going to see, if I'm just going to pause it right here, look at their offense compared to our offense. If you go back earlier in the clip, black all over the place. White team's offense, they spread the floor nicely. Reese found the open spot. He got the layup. Unfortunately, it clipped off right here. I'm not sure why. But this kind of just shows the organization of the white team versus the black team, which I think is what was causing black team's failures early. Just another reason I'd like to highlight before having Jesse and Grant kind of interject a little bit here. Let's look at this. White team lined up beautifully here. Grant played great defense on Zane all night. He's up here. He's within that arm's length. He's playing defense. White team has everybody covered. We're right early in the game. The score, I believe, at this point was 2-0, and we're going to pass to Noah, and he's going to shoot a massive three-pointer here. Shots like these, I believe, were probably a third of the reason why we lost this game. There's no reason to be taking this shot this early in the game. And quite frankly, I think I speak for everybody on my team for this game. That just kills morale to come out with a nice game plan and go into the game early and watch shots like these get thrown up left and right, whereas we could be running a more effective offense like white team. What do you guys have to say about that?
I'd
Yeah,
like to make. Oh, go ahead, Jesse.
okay. On the white team, we never really said, we're gonna be playing man or we're gonna be playing zone, and the whole game it was on defense. It was a hybrid of all of it, and it worked really well. We we played very off ball, and that caused the shooters on your team, which there's one of, and you can see him spotting up from pretty far behind the 3 point line. Caused him to get way too confident in his shot selection, and I think that really killed the black team's momentum. At any time you would score, he would spot up and then just absolutely kill your momentum, and then we would go get an easy layup. It
Yeah,
was
and my bad.
very poor, uh, just very poor shot selection.
I agree with that. I think another point on that would be the rebounding. Zach, if you want to go to that second clip real quick and go right after Noah's shot.
Oh, one moment. Flip it to here.
Yeah, I would just like to point out how you you guys had three players just watch the ball right after the shot. I believe it was you and I think Zane crashed the boards, and it looks like we have four players, everyone but Robbie, kind of go for that rebound. I think that was also a big part of the game. Just the hustle plays and just kind of making sure to do all the little things.
I will admit, I will say it now. I think the reason I was able to get 16 rebounds is because my team was absent rebounding. So if there was a rebound that was going to our team, 9 times out of 10 it was going to me. Zane, I appreciate his efforts trying to get in there, but he's a perimeter player. He's out there the whole time. But I really expected more from people like Dane and especially Ryan coming into this game. Let's go ahead and move on down a little bit, and we're going to be looking at some of the white team's offensive fortitude here and see what kind of held them up over the black team. So, massive thing right here. Look at the defense. Derek has just came on. He's super confused, and we got mismatches. Obviously, we got Noah down here on Clark. I've spotted up on Robbie. And this is going to leave basically a hedge screen by Clark and leave Reese wide open. And just Reese's offensive potential is going to be seen right here. An absolute dagger early. A no-question three-pointer. Really just driving the nail deep into black team's defense here just because of a miscommunication. Specifically, both of you guys being from white team, what did you do to kind of maximize our communication errors for your benefit? Grant,
We
go
were
ahead.
just trying to find the open man, and whoever had the hot hand. Clearly, Reese had it early on in the game. We understood that you guys were sagging off him a little bit, so we decided to give it to him and shoot or shoot, and he definitely shot it.
Yeah, I think a big part of what we were doing was we would whoever had the ball would crash the paint and pull all of the defenders off, and he would just pass it out and shoot. And almost all of our points came from passing out, from crashing and passing out, or just sloppy offensive work from you guys and getting an easy layup.
Now, there's this next clip is something I'd really like to highlight, and it's sloppy offensive work from black team here, specifically Noah Gossman. Let's just watch this play, and then I'll comment on it afterwards.
Oh, that's another miss.
Right early in the possession, we just dribbled the ball down. I was on the bench. We were making adjustments. This is the smaller lineup for both teams. Zane is going to have a mismatch against Corbin. He's not going to take advantage of it. That's okay. But here we have a crowded paint, and Noah Gossman is going to take it right into that crowded paint and throw up a floater from about 20 feet out, which is obviously
Oh,
going to
that's
miss.
another miss.
And then, unfortunately, it's going to go out of bounds on us. This kind of poor shot selection early on, driven mostly by Noah Gossman, did not help our chances in winning this game. What was your guys' side of that?
It was just sloppy offensive work the whole time. Not making obvious passes, not taking open shots. You have guys that can consistently hit shots, but they're not confident. So they'll pass down or they'll pass back to the top of the key instead of taking an obvious shot. And I think
that's another
Noah,
miss.
it's almost like Noah sensed that and he tried to put the team on his back, but he couldn't.
Grant, what do you think about that?
I agree with what Jesse said, although I do have to say, we understood that Noah was going to come out of the gates, guns a-blazing. Unfortunately for him, he went, I believe, 1 of 11 or 2 of 11 out the gate. Perhaps after a few missed shots, he should have passed it out. I know in that one clip there was maybe 2 or 3 players that, if I were in his position, looked like I would have passed to. Of course, hindsight's 20/20, but I'm just going off what I see.
Very good. Now, we're moving on to the next clip here, and we're going to see 2 things in this clip. Number one, we're going to see good ball movement by the white team, but also some bad shot selection here. So, props to Jaden here. They're going to do a little kick out, and Robbie's going to undercut. Beautiful move. But then Robbie's going to take this all the way and throw up one of the nastiest up and unders the world has ever seen. There was some bad shot selection on behalf of the white team. Now, some of that was forced defensively. I feel like overall they had better shot selection than my team did, and specifically getting in the paint, they did better. However, we were able to force, especially through the middle of the game, some bad shots like this, closing the paint, closing out, locking down their inside guys. What do you guys think about that?
It was not so much the missing or taking bad shots, was not seeing an open man. If you go to right before he goes across the paint there,
That's right here.
you can
Yeah.
yep, you can see me wide open. I can he just tosses it to me and I can put it right in the uh, hoop. But he is just head down, and this isn't just Robbie. This is everyone on the team. Everyone in the game would
Uh,
just head down and wouldn't see a obvious open man or
and one thing I
they
wanted to
wouldn't look for a
mention,
better shot. They would just throw it up.
one thing I wanted to mention about this is Grant Harris for your team at this time, your main facilitator in this game, is on the bench. So you could see overall this is honestly a blown play. Now, it should have ended in points, obviously, Jesse, like you said. You were an open man here, but let's just analyze it. You got two men way outside of your shooting arc. Your point guard is cleared to the other side, and it's really 2-on-3 down here. Now, these guys have just completely cleared out. This is just a blown play, which black team had plenty of these during the game. But it's just interesting to see it from both sides. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on now. We're going to have another play from the white team here. This one I have not actually analyzed. All right, I remember what this was now. So we're going to be looking at defensive mismatch. We got Robbie bringing the ball up the court, and let's skip ahead to about here. Let's look at the matchups. We got Ryan on Reese. Zane is guarding the point, obviously. And we got Landon coming down for Jaden. Noah is supposed to be on Robbie. This was the matchup we had agreed with. Noah is not picking up Robbie. He picks up Jesse.
He's inside the 3-point line.
Yeah. This is going to leave Dane one-on-one against Robbie. Dane is not going to step up here at all, and Robbie is going to take a wide open shot. This kind of showed the lack of initiative on black team's defense, especially through the kind of early half of the game. Just no defense whatsoever, no rebounding either. As you can see, they're pretty much all cleared at this point. If this ball were reboundable, Jesse probably would have had the best chance. He's fronting Noah here. What did you guys think of what the defense was like, specifically early in the game?
I think it was me and Reese started to get hot, so we were put on your quote unquote better players. Better defensive players were kind of pushed to me and Reese, so it just created such mismatches. Like Noah's 150 pounds, and I weigh 100 pounds more than him. I'm in the paint, and he can't really stop me.
Grant, what about you?
Same with Dane, sorry. But
You're
same with
good.
Dane is Dane on Robbie. Robbie's going to bully him every single time. He has to blow on him. And Dane is going to fall over.
All right, we're going to analyze
To me,
3 more. Go ahead, Grant.
to me, in that play, it sort of looked like it was more towards the middle of the game. I know at the beginning of the game, you guys were doing a really good job of closing down the passing lanes, kind of forcing some turnovers there. But I believe towards the middle of the game, that's when Noah began to try and do too much for the team, and that's what it seemed like he was doing there. Kind of left Robbie with a mismatch, and I feel like that's when we kind of grabbed control of the game and went from there.
All right, then I got 2 more clips I want to analyze here. We got one highlighting some black team issues, and then we also got some scoring here. First one, just a move by Noah, which, let's just look at this. He's going to come
Looked
down.
like a little bit of a hack there.
Yeah, wide layup lines here. Half their defense isn't even turned around yet. Easy left-hand layup. Robbie's going to smoke the grab. He's one-on-one against Clark, and he's just going to smoke this layup. This happened all night. I couldn't keep track in the video, but I think between Noah Gossman and Dane Harbert, there were around 23 shots that got smoked, specifically layups, and easy stuff like this. Like, I'm not calling this an automatic shot, but when you're not even being blocked and you're against, which you Noah's able to jump significantly higher than Clark. He's much more skilled, and to have this matchup one-on-one and just absolutely blow this play up is kind of embarrassing for us, especially when none of us even had really the chance to get a rebound off of this play. Ryan hadn't even made it up the court yet. As you can see, I had just gotten set in the corner, and there's really just not much you can do about that. So I just wanted to touch on that quick. I feel like that's one of the main reasons we lost. Let me see what else we got here. Most of the other in-game stuff we're going to touch on a little bit later. And then there was just one more play, one actual good offensive play we had. I like the ball movement. We spaced the floor well. This is towards the very end of the game. 4 out, 1 in. Beautiful spacing. Zane's going to take an open three. I'm able to get a rebound, and even then, we're going to space the floor well. Dane's playing good at the high post. Noah's ready for outlet. And I'm going to end up taking this shot here and making it, but Ryan coming in for the rebound. Much better effort by Black Team towards the end of the game. I feel like if we had this effort the whole game, there was a good chance we could have won, but we just didn't see it. What do you guys think?
Needs more arc on that one.
I think towards the end of the game, it was lax defense that killed the white team, because we saw you guys smoking shots and it wasn't pretty. So we started to kind of back off. Oh, they're so cold right now. We'll be fine. But because of that lax defense, you just started crashing the paint, and I think that's what really closed the gap at the end.
I do agree with you there. Grant, what do you think?
Yeah, I think towards the end, especially on defense, it was just an effort problem on our side. Clark was doing a really good job, but unfortunately, the rest of us we kind of held back, and that was unfortunate. Next time, personally, I hope that I can keep that effort up in the final minutes, and hopefully the rest of the team as well. Because watching that was a little embarrassing.
All right, so that's going to do for our full game evaluation, and we're going to go ahead and jump into our player grading system now. This is something me and Grant have taken some time to make here, and let's just kind of go over how it works for the people that don't understand. So we have your stats laid out, every single player's stats, and we're going to go through every player pretty quick here, and we're basically going to give you a rating from A+ to F-, and it's going to be based on your expectations. So, for example, Game 1, Zane, expected to play quite well. Maybe not like 20, 30 points, but expected to have a decent game facilitate. He did that. He got a B that game. Dane, expected to play good. I hyped him up. He had a horrible game. He got an F. So on and so forth. I'll actually stream my screen so you guys can see this. But basically, we're just going to go top to bottom, look at the stats, have a quick debate, and give ourselves a grade. Grant, Jesse, you guys get the honor of grading myself because obviously wrong to grade yourself. So let's go ahead and start there. Top of the grading list, myself. Grant, Jesse, what's your opinions?
I think you were good on defense. You had a good defensive run, but it was underwhelming on offense. You didn't create space between your man. You took some, not great shots, but that's like everyone else in the game. And it just wasn't an awesome game for you. I'd give you maybe a B-.
And Grant, your review?
I agree with what Jesse said in terms of offense. If I'm ever on your team, I would love to see you try and bully your way in the post a little bit more. You kind of got to work on that a little bit. But defensively, I mean, you almost had a double-double with rebounds and blocks. And honestly, in any case, I think that's deserving of a B+ or higher.
we just call the middle ground, call it a B?
I'd say that.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Derek real quick and just kind of looking over Derek's stats. Not a lot to talk about here. One rebound, that's about it. But to be fair, he played to expectations. I mean, I'd give him a C plus again for what he got last week. He played exactly to expectations, nothing more, nothing less. He had a couple defensive errors, but he's still learning the game. Uh, you have any differing opinions?
I
No,
think
I
I
completely agree.
think I think a lot of what Derek does is it's not counted on the stat sheet, right? I mean, his nickname is Coach D. You're not going to see that out on the floor. I think we got to give him a B. I think he played a lot better than than the previous game. I mean, he had a lot less missed shots. He wasn't forcing it as much. He was kind of making the smart plays, and he was not a negative for his team, unlike a lot of players.
I'd
Yeah,
say he wasn't a negative, I would agree, but he wasn't really a positive. He didn't do a lot. He's Coach D. He really brings the morale for the team. I think he sort of leads the train because he's just such a, easygoing guy. But
I'll put it this way. After playing with him, I do kind of agree. Now that Grant has mentioned it, a B minus actually might be deserving this week because he was a real morale booster. Specifically for me, and I think Zane felt it too. Even Ryan going out there on the floor, getting your ass kicked, missing all these shots, watching these things happen is not a good time. And you come back to the bench, you're tired, you're beaten, you want your water, you want to get back out there and get something done. And having Derek on that bench and even on that floor, kind of hyping you up, talking you, it really brings the team up. And I think he did kind of help us rally. So I think at least a B minus might be a good rating here.
yeah, I completely agree with a B minus.
All right. Jesse, me and Grant will obviously get to review Grant. You want to go ahead and kind of give your 2 cents first on Jesse?
Well, just going off of expectations, I mean, Jesse played way better than he did week one. He went from 2 points to 10 points. I mean, I felt his presence out there, and I knew whenever I needed someone to pass to or someone to score, I knew I could always get it to him, and he would be a reliable scorer. On top of that, I mean, it doesn't say he got a lot of rebounds, but I mean, he definitely made a difference. He was making sure that if he didn't get the rebound, then someone else on our team would. And even for a post player, 2 assists in AR3, I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, as much as I hate to say it, I'm going to have to agree with you there. He did play very well. He was able to make some clutch shots, and I think his biggest thing was just being in the right place at the right time. When people were driving down, he was in that open spot. When people were driving through, he was on that open three-point lane. He did a good job of reading the offense and getting in the correct spot to make those shots. He played better than expectations. And you are right, even though with only 3 rebounds, he did make a presence rebounding. He was able, especially against me, to at least keep me kind of out of the rebounding equation and give Clark a way to get to it. So I don't know. What do you think, Grant? What do you give him?
I'm thinking a B plus or an A minus. I think if we're going based off expectations, we go A minus. But in terms of performance, probably around a B plus. So
Yeah, I do
I'll,
agree. Since
I'll give it to you to decide.
yeah, since we're going off expectations here, I think an A minus is very fair. He had a good game, and it's going to be interesting to see how he goes going forward. We're moving on to Robbie now. Robbie's going to be a hard one because the expectations were weird, but he did have a good game. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of evaluate first. What were his expectations? Well, 20-some points last week. Were his expectations the same this week? I think they were similar. Did he do that this week? No. But we cannot discredit the game he had. I think he's had the most complete game so far. 10 points, nothing to scoff at. 10 points is very solid for a team. That is better than most players' AR3. But then also 9 rebounds and 5 assists. I think that's very good in AR3. 5 assists coming out in a game like this is very impressive. I think
He
he's
had
deserving
half the
of an A
team's
minus.
assists.
I personally think he's deserving of an A minus as well. Um, like obviously you gotta still consider the points, but he had a very complete game that I think is deserving of one. Grant, what do you think?
I agree. The points weren't there, but I mean, he went from, I believe, 2 assists to 5 in one game. So, I mean, that's where his other points were going. So it's not like he wasn't making up for that. Uh, his shots seemed to be falling at a rate that was around the same as last game. So it's not like he fell off, but more so he just wasn't taking as many shots and he was creating for other players.
So do you agree with that A minus rating?
I would say a B plus. But I think what he did last or the first game was just beyond anyone's expectations for him. But this game was slightly below that, so I'd go with a B plus.
All right.
I'd agree
Oh
more with the
shit.
B
Yeah,
plus because he with his performance week 1 just absolutely blew all of us away and set our expectations so high for him. And week 2 he just wasn't able to meet those expectations. Uh so I'd be happy with a B plus. He had a very complete game.
All right. Let's move on to Zach Clark now. Now, just to review, Zach Clark's main stat line was those 13 rebounds, but also 8 points. Not bad. Now, we do have to look at turnovers as well, which he only had 2, so not a big deal, honestly, in AR3. What do you guys think? Grant, go ahead and kind of give your review first.
Based off expectations, I'd have to see what his first game stats were.
8 points,
He
9
had eight
rebounds, 2
points,
assists. Yeah, you got it.
and his second, okay, and then going based off of his first game rating, we gave him a B plus. I don't know. I think I think he may be deserving of our first flat A. I think he played way above what he his first game, and I mean he got a B plus that game, so I believe he deserves an A.
Jesse,
I
what's your
I
thoughts?
I think that he played very well. Going into the game, we knew that he was going to get all those. We knew that he was going to get a ton of rebounds. We knew he was going to be a presence in the paint. And I don't think it was that surprising that he got 13 rebounds. I don't think he played that far above expectations. He had a great game, but since we're going off of expectations, I'd have to give him maybe an A minus.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Quite frankly, A minus. As playing out on the court with him, he wasn't much of a concern to us the whole game. Now, that's not to discredit his game at all. He had a great game. But of those 8 points, I think 6 of them were off of offensive rebounds. The 13 rebounds was very good. Also, don't want to discredit that. But to give him an A, I don't know. I feel like just as a team, we weren't super concerned with him the entire game in terms of really blowing the doors off. But he did have a very solid game. I'm leaning more in the A minus rating.
And I'm fine with that.
All right.
All right.
All right. Let's get to Noah. I have a few things to say about this. Holy shit. If we just go in the stats here, 20 points, very impressive. 10 rebounds, double-double, very impressive. 9 turnovers, nearly a triple-double. That's not something you want. 9 turnovers. And 3 fouls as well. 3 fouls in AR3, 3 called fouls is impressive. The 20 points, yes. I hate to bag on him so much because, yes, he did carry our team points-wise, but he also kind of killed us down the stretch. Those 9 turnovers early in the game is what got us behind in the first place. 9 turnovers is way too many for someone of his caliber. 3 fouls are way too many. That's way too many chances for this other team to be getting. The 10 rebounds is good. The 20 points are good, but compared to where he should be, I don't know. I think this is a B, maybe even a B minus, just because the turnovers were absolutely atrocious.
I don't think he was a presence at all on the court. He put up points, but everyone expects him to put up points. Uh, Not everyone expects him to have, would you say, 9 turnovers? Like, we know he's gonna have a few, but not 9. I think he severely was under expectations, to the point of going off of expectations. Of course, I'd have to give him like a C minus. He did not play well other than for the last 10 minutes of the game.
All right, Grant, what do you think?
I was thinking about this before the podcast, and I kind of split Noah up into three different categories in the game. For about the first half, he played like absolute dog water. Like, he was atrocious. I mean, we were letting him shoot, and usually he's all for that, but he was just missing everything. Then we get to about maybe the first 10 minutes of the second half. That's where he got a majority of his points. That's when his shots started falling. That's also when he got those steals and kind of helped you guys' team get back into the game. And after that, it seemed like he was a minus on defense and also on offense in those last 10 minutes where he wasn't really contributing much. And he was missing rotations on defense and kind of uh, he was trying to do too much. So it really depends on what you value. If you value him trying to get you guys back in the game, which he was successful at, but then he also kind of lost the game for you.
Yeah, and now that you mention it, him on defense, his defense was atrocious. Now, Robbie only had 10 points, but Noah Gossman into the season was kind of coined as a great defender, and to let up 10 points against Robbie, who was using the same tricks as week one, is honestly a disgrace. And his help defense was absolutely horrible. So I'm kind of down with Jesse on a C minus at this. It's good game points
Yeah,
wise, but just every other aspect of his game was absolutely horrible.
and
Right.
to
If
add
you
on
hit
to the
the top
points,
3 lines of
like
the stat line, you had a great game.
what you don't see is his field goal percentage, which I believe it was at 27%. We found out
Yep, I do
that's
confirm
not
that.
that's not something that you want, not at all.
So we're gonna go ahead and all agree with a C minus on that. Controversial game from Noah, but kind of flipping the spectrum here. Reese Doak, Grant, you've talked
Hey,
about this.
hey,
Let's hear it.
hey! I don't care. He won us that game. He did.
Jesse, what's your opinion?
Ex-
Uh, he had an amazing offensive game, but can you pull up his defensive stats? They
Um,
they weren't there. He wasn't really a presence. 4
but it's
rebounds.
it's it's based
He's
off
got,
expectations, though.
but
And if you go
sure,
based off expectations, I
based
mean,
off
he had a great
expectations
game.
on defense, I expected him to do better than that.
well, we got to think
Uh,
about it. His matchup was Ryan the whole night, and Ryan
no,
had 0 points. So we do have
I
to keep that in
understand.
mind. He was able to lock Ryan.
A lot of the game was and I'm agreeing with Reese as an A.
No,
I'm not saying he shouldn't be an A, but I'm saying his defense was not up to par. Ryan had 0 points because Ryan took bad shots,
I guess that is fair.
not
I would
not
also
because
like to say that
somebody swept him.
Ryan is usually known as one of the scrappier players, and playing against one of those players is very annoying. So I think the fact that Reese was able to come out, I mean, as with this being his first real game, and to get 11 points and be an extreme key factor in the game, I think personally that's deserving of an A.
And I completely agree with you guys. He came out and he dropped daggers on us left and right. I don't know why we couldn't keep up with him. Hell, at one point I went over and I played defense on that bastard. And I mean that didn't end well for him, but we're not going to talk about that. So I'm with you guys, A all the way. Let's go to Landon now. Once again, another interesting one. 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 1 turnover off the bench. Basically, not talked about at all. I honestly think this is deserving of a B plus for Landon, just based on his expectations being 0, 0, 0 all the way down the board. To have a rebound, an assist, and a steal, that's pretty impressive to me.
I think for us, we all think Landon's just going to be zeros all the way down. For him to have a one and and not being a rebound, to just have one in any of the categories is an A. I don't think anyone expected him to do as well as he did. Zero
Also,
points
his commentary was legendary.
The commentary is a big boost, isn't it?
Yes, it was. I remember in one clip in particular where he was telling his teammate that he needs to get more arc on his shot. I think that also plays into his grade.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Jesse, I know you said an
I think it's
A.
I
What
think
are
it's
we
an
what are we
A.
thinking, Grant?
I'd think a B plus or an A, anywhere in between there would be good for him.
Let's split the middle, give him an A minus.
A minus.
I do think that that's fair rating for him. And let's move to Jaden real quick as well. Kind of similar, less stats. 2 points though. I think. Yeah, 2 points. He was able to score, but other than that, all zeros. What do we think? Personally, B plus. Not much going there. 2 points. It was off of a rebound. That's about all you're gonna get. I'm
Right.
rocking
Jaden's
with a
also
solid B plus.
he's such a morale booster, like tying his shoes twice. Uh, he just like brought us. He took us out of the game for a second and let us all cool down. And I'd agree with a B plus. He did well. I think he did above expectation.
And then Grant, do you
I
agree with that B
agree.
plus?
I agree with that. The 2 points is impressive, especially for him. I don't know how much basketball experience he's had, but that 2 points is very good. I'm not sure. Did that come from a field goal? I don't remember hitting
Uh,
anything, but
I'm I'm not sure. I'm fairly certain it was off of a like a bounced rebound that he was able to get, one that got ricocheted off the ground, and he was able to put that in for 2 points. All right, let's go ahead and click on down here to Ryan. This is gonna be a hard one for me to say, but I'm thinking maybe like a D. We could be looking at a
I
solid D
give him
do.
the
here.
big D.
I
Give him
completely
the
agree.
full D.
Uh, Three
Was-
turnovers,
and
no points. He was able to get 5 rebounds, which is nothing to scoff at. But when you got people like me, Clark, Robbie, and Noah out there all averaging about 10 boards, you're gonna have to step it up a little bit. So I'm just thinking D all the way. There's nothing I need to say. No points, missed shots left and right. That's a D.
Give him the hard D.
All right, Corbin. 2 rebounds, 1 turnover. B. There's not much I could say. But like that's maybe a B minus. I think maybe some people expected him to move the ball a little bit better. He didn't have any assists. I'm I'm thinking a B minus. What do you guys think? Just not a whole lot to talk about there, unfortunately.
I think that he got.
Yeah.
I expected him to get points. Corbin is not a bad basketball player. Uh, so I expected him to get two baskets, and he didn't really meet that. I I think I would be B minus or maybe even a C plus.
I don't really think of Corbin as a scorer. I think he has the capability, but I think uh, he's more of a distributor, and I think he did that job well. I mean, he played defense on Zane. I don't really think it was too spectacular, but I mean, I think he came in and he did his job, and having 2 points, I think that's value. Yeah, I think that's enough to give him a B minus.
All right, let's go to Dane now. Dane much improved his game. If we're going off expectations here, I think he's justified in getting a B here at least. Just looking at his stats real quick, 4 points, not all that much, but you got to look at it in perspective of my team. That's the second highest scorer on my team. 7 rebounds and 4 steals, pretty impressive. Now, 3 turnovers, but I believe all 3 of them came early in the game. He smoked a lot of layups, but he made a couple. He was able to distribute the ball around when it was necessary. I think that's honestly deserving of a B compared to last week's performance. That's much improved.
I completely agree. I think he did a lot better than expectations. I think a lot of us expected him to be throwing it off the ceiling, but he got 4 points. He didn't. I think a lot of his rebounds were more, they were hit out and he got it. But I'd be very happy with a B for Dane.
He went from being what you could call a meme of AR3 to being I think a respectable player. Maybe not one that should be starting, but definitely a valuable player to have. He was not a minus on your team this week. He had some good steals, and he definitely played better than last week.
I do agree. Let's go on to Will now. Will very much pressuring me into making sure I got his stats right. 1 rebound, 1 steal. Um, I'll put it this way. I'm going to give him a good rating here because his expectations were in the dumpster. I feel like even more than Landon. Now, I feel like we all know that Landon is a little bit worse than Will, but Will gets bagged on. His expectations were absolute trash. They were gone. They were destroyed. So for this, I'm going to give him a B plus. Honestly, he came out there. He wasn't allowed very many minutes because Noah pulled him, and that was a whole thing on our team, which I'll get to later when we get into our news. And Grant, I know you have a little segment for some of your takes coming up, but I think he's deserving of a B plus. He went out there. He was funny. He brought our team up morale wise. He made a good move. And he was able to get some work done. So I think he's deserving of a B plus here.
I agree. I think this was his first game, so he was a little shell shocked. I think that might be why he didn't get too many stats. I also think that um, I think he was kind of shook by the greatest tradition in AR3 sports, the wave. Um, that that was a really special moment, part of the game. But yeah, I'd give him a B.
All right, Jesse.
I give him a B. His little heart could take it. I expected him to play 5 minutes and then be absolutely gassed and not be able to move. And he played
Damn.
5 minutes, but he could do it. he
Was it 5 minutes? I thought no, it took him out after 30
It
seconds.
was about 5. Yeah, it was close.
he was a presence. I feel like Will was a surprising presence on your team. No one thought he would be, but he was like a little scrappy.
Yep, I agree.
He had a lot of heart in him.
I'll put it this way, Will. If you're on my team and I'm the team captain, you're gonna be getting some more playing time because you showed me that you deserve it.
He has the heart.
All right, let's just go ahead and just keep it moving. Let's move on down to Grant. Grant and Zane are going to be huge comparisons here. Jesse, you and me will be evaluating Grant. Now let's just look at it. 0 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, a block, 2 turnovers, and a foul. Not an impressive stat line, but if you look at the film, he was making some real good moves inside. He was making some beautiful passes that didn't necessarily lead to assists, but he played a good game in my opinion, as much as he got down on himself. Now, I think it's a B. He didn't put up any points, which is obviously a negative, but he played good defense. He moved the ball around well, and I think he protected the ball pretty well, honestly. So I think it's very deserving of a B.
I'd agree with a B. He did more. He would pass to an assist. So he would pass to someone, and then they would pass to the points. and you shouldn't scoff at being able to move the ball. And because they didn't lead to assists doesn't mean, or because they didn't lead to points doesn't mean that he was not a presence on the team. He would consistently drive and pull all your defenders off, and then we would just pass the ball 2 or 3 passes and then score. Uh, because you guys would crash and didn't know how to handle it. And I think he was a big part of us breaking down your defense.
Yeah, I gotta say, me and Grant had very similar games. Offense was just not there, but the defense was great, and he did notch another block, which does put him in third place right now for defensive stats. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that goes. But I'm thinking a B. He was very solid, definitely not a negative, but it was not necessarily a standout game for him. All right, and let's go to Zane. So 4 points, 3 rebounds, and then a big fat donut across the bottom. This is a C minus for me. Here's my reasons. His defense was okay. I'll put it this way: he plays very safe defense. People will not get past him, but you can shoot all over him. He does not play in your face. He does not play scrappy defense. On offense, he didn't take too many shots. He was not very aggressive with the ball. He didn't exploit mismatches, but he never turned it over, and he made beautiful passes. So he was not a full negative to my team, which is why I kind of harsh to give him below a C minus. But I think it's deserving of a C. He just kind of almost wasn't really a factor at all in the game.
I have a lot to say about this. I'll try and keep it short though. I had the honor of guarding Zane, and I don't really think I believe he deserves a C minus, but I don't believe that's his fault. I think being a point guard with Noah, it's hard. It's really hard to play well, and especially on the stat sheet. And I think this was his first game ever being on a team with Noah, and that's kind of hard. It's hard. Like the first game I played with Noah, and I've had more experience, so it was easier for me to know what to do. But as for Zane, it wasn't really a fair situation for him. And hopefully, as the season progresses and the more games he plays with Noah, he can kind of get that down.
Yeah, I think Zane was not really a factor at all on offense. He would pass it out and then he would just run to the corner or he would run to the top of the key and just stand there. He didn't try and move defense around and pull people away. He wasn't great. I mean,
He plays like a backup point guard with the skills of a starting point guard.
Yeah, I kind of
yeah,
agree
I
with
would
that.
agree with that.
He needs to settle
mean,
into AR3.
Yeah, and that might be hard with our new schedule, which we'll talk about later. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, he had one amazing shot, and I mean, it looks like a normal mid range, but I mean, I'm telling you, I got my hand on that ball, and he still somehow found a way to will that in, and it was an extremely impressive shot. So, um, unfortunately, I do think he deserves the C.
All right. So good evaluations from everybody, and thank you guys for your input. We're going to go ahead and move it on to the fantasy review. And fantasy was a big deal this week. We manually counted the stats, and here we are. Let's just go at the top. So I'm just going to start it off, read through all of these stats and the results. So myself, blocks. We had an over-under of 3.5, and it was pretty much split down the middle, 6-4, what was going to happen. I absolutely murdered the over. 8 blocks in a game. I personally didn't even expect myself to get that much. So I'm quite happy with that performance.
No thanks to me, of course.
Yeah, I think you were the reason I hit my over, just by yourself. So thank you, Jesse Shafer. I'd like to shout him out. Dan Harbert points. Everybody picked the under. I had to put the over here because otherwise it would disappear. But everybody picked the under, and he almost hit the over. He did walk away with 4 points. So something to keep an eye on. Still, a little bit deflating for him, but I kind of had a performance like Ryan. He got up there, he made some performance, he played better than last week. Grant Harris points. One person picked the over. What a mistake. Sorry, two people picked the
Oh, wait,
over.
two people.
I got the under 7.5. Personally, I feel like he could have hit the over. He could have had that game. It's just the shots weren't landing for him. Good shot selection, good shots getting put up, and the rim was just not on his side. Jesse Shafer points 6.5. Good job on whoever picked the over. This is the one that busted my fantasy picks here. I expected Jesse to get the 6, but not over, and he was able to hit some clutch 3-pointers late in the game, and that's what really brought him into total fruition there. AR3 total turnovers split right down the middle. We hit the under. I honestly couldn't believe this one. Even I voted the under, but I was expecting to smash that over. I believe we ended with like 30. Upon reviewing the film, not that many turnovers, a lot of busted shots. So it's the shot percentage was just absolutely disgusting. It was horrible, especially for my team. It was just miss after miss after miss. So total turnovers going to hit the under. And as for total points, we're also going to scrape the under here. This one was split evenly down the middle as well. So congratulations to whoever had those right. Really tough picks this week. Beautiful point lines from me and Robbie last week, so I'm hoping we get to keep those up. Any comments from you guys on the fantasy real quick before we move on to some of the news titles?
It was just a lot of no one expected. Almost all. Thank you for changing that. No one expected, for example, me to get more than 6.5. But with last week's points, I think that's why so many people chose the over, because what was last week, 96 or something points?
Yeah, it was up in the 90s. It was incredible.
Yeah. Yep.
Key players missing had a part in that too.
Yeah, but it's also something you just can't predict. It's if we're feeling good.
If the shots are falling, there's going to be more points.
And
Right.
shots were not falling. They were not.
You heard it here first.
All right, so we're gonna move
This is
on
the
from
high
the
quality content.
we're gonna move on from the fantasy here, and Grant, I'm gonna actually go ahead and let you take center stage here. You're gonna be the main guy, kind of going over the recent news. You just want to go ahead, take over the host, and just kind of go down the list, and we'll get started.
Absolutely. So we have recently discovered that Jesse Shafer, the big man, he will be having a surgery. When will you be having that?
February 1st.
February 1st. Now, that's around halfway through the season. If you continue playing how you did next game, that's going to be a big hit for everyone. Hopefully it goes well. I know we're all praying for you. We had that scare with Robbie a week ago, and so hopefully yours goes well.
All right, go ahead and move it on.
Noah Gossman, locker room cancer. What do you guys think about that?
Okay, so I want to comment on this because it was me talking to you that really made this thing. Noah Gossman, I don't know what the hell happened this week. He was probably one of the worst teammates I've ever played with in my life, and it all started from the rip. Ryan is our team captain. He was the whole time. He had an offense set up that was great. Noah Gossman, as soon as he got picked on the team, just kind of took over. He set up his own offense, his own defense, directly conflicted with Ryan about it. And going into the game, we had 2 offenses and 2 defenses set up, and we ran neither of them. Which that in and of itself would not be enough to kill us. But going into the game, everybody saw it. He was making some horrible on-court decisions. Specifically, I'd like to mention when he had the ball, he would set up ISOs for himself, only to take a step back and shoot a three. That's really deflating when you go through all this time setting screens and talking on the sideline and trying to hype yourself up, only to air out a long bomb that's going to get absolutely smoked. Um,
I
just
believe you also have I think you have a clip that you wanted to show with this news report too,
oh
I
god.
believe.
If I can find it later in the podcast, I'll certainly bring it up. But just absolutely horrible. He would shoot up shots and then just stand there and complain. Specifically, anytime we didn't rebound, that is one of the main complaints he'd have. One of the clips I'm referring to is Ryan going down and fast break. We needed points now. Ryan pulls up a 3-pointer. I'm standing right next to him, and after he missed the shot, Noah immediately gets on Ryan for missing, and then he immediately gets on me for not rebounding. And his whole time was just complaining. I feel bad for Will, honestly, because we had 2 possessions without points, and he pulled Will, just like that. So he is not a good teammate if he's losing. He gets heated real quick, and it's all about him. So just kind of keep that in mind as we continue on through AR3.
I believe he's a bad teammate when you're winning too. I mean, he was on my team when we won, and Jesse, you were on that team too, and he tried to be the captain, and I mean, like you said, he has not been a captain yet, but both times he's tried to take on that responsibility.
I think Noah just assumes that you know nothing, and he knows everything, and he knows what's best for the whole team. Because sure, we're out there to win, but we're also out there to hang out. It's not there's no money on these games. We're not fighting for $1 million contracts,
Not yet.
of course. Uh,
I,
so yes, we're all gonna be competitive, but if you have a player like Will that's there to hang out, uh, and you immediately are just on his ass about the stupidest stuff, I think that's just a very poor leadership, and it shows his character.
Two things I'd like to add on with that too. I think he's also lost some respect from his teammates with some videos that went, I guess you could say, viral in the group chat, along with how he treats everyone outside of AR3. Um, and maybe that's not his fault. I know that he and his girlfriend had some trouble after he made a comment to her, which is kind of funny considering that's why we consider him to be a locker room cancer. But that could be why he's the way he is.
I don't know. Yeah, I do agree, though. I've lost a lot of respect for him as of recent. I'd like to see him turn around, but who knows at this point? Anything could happen.
Which that reminds me, last night he was talking, and this has to do with AR3. Trust me, because we may lose him. Some and an employee at Applebee's offered him weed to sell at school, and he was legitimately thinking about it. So just know that if you draft Noah, you might not have him for the game.
So, quite frankly, it's going into the battle of the weed dealer versus the army recruiter here. So, we're going to see who comes out on top with Noah Gossman. Hoping it's the army recruiter. Who knows? But yeah, I do agree. Keep that in mind.
Next news. Zach Sanders, is he a stat patter? Now, I have something to go with this. Zach has been awfully focused on rebounds and blocks. I mean, he constantly drags on about them and talks about them in class to the point where I just kind of, if I were a bit bigger, I might backhand him. What do you think?
Uh, I don't know. I think he definitely chases specific lines. For example, blocks. I think you really chased the blocks in that game. You played really tight on the guys that were shooting,
Real tight.
and thank you. And that's another reason that I think the white team came out on top is that you played
And
so tight on the shooters that everyone was open, and you were just going for the defensive stats.
I think it's kind of similar to players from another league, not quite up to the tier of Air 3, but in the NBA, players like Devin Booker when he used to be on the Suns, and there's that one game where he put up 70 points, but they lost. Clearly, two games where you've had amazing stat lines, but also two losses. I don't really know what kind of message that gives out to your teammates because I haven't played with you yet, but I don't think that it seems like a positive.
I'll put it this way just to get a chance to defend myself. I can see where everybody's coming from with that. Um, but I'll put it this: I do not go out and chase these stats. Now, getting blocks is nice, but one thing I would like to mention is that my blocks were spread out among everybody. Specifically, 4 of my blocks were off of help defense. So I'm not necessarily hawking down these blocks. I blocked 3-pointers out on the paint. I blocked people that weren't my man off help defense. Fast breaks were some of my blocks. So as much as I do like having all these stats coming up, I'm not specifically hunting these down. It's just the nature of my defense. And I like to market myself defensively. Rebounds are important to me. Blocks are important to me because that's how I help my team win. Has it been working so far? No. And I think that's honestly because people draft me as if I'm another Noah Gossman, like a shooter. I'll put it this way: I am not a shooter. There is a chance later in the season, as my skills develop, I could be going off for points here, but I'm not out there to score 20-some points. I'm your defensive guy. I can guard anybody here, but the points wise is just not going to come. Now, I'm always going to get mine 6, 8, 10. I'm going to put points up on the board. But my big thing, and the people that played with me at the high school basketball level at ACBC know, my big thing has always been defense. Getting those defensive stops for my guys, getting those defensive rebounds for my guys. So, and honestly, I feel like stat padding rebounds is never a bad thing. I'm not saying I am stat padding it, but how do you stat pad rebounds is what I'm saying. Blocks, maybe, but even once again, if you're stat padding blocks, you're getting blocks. Stat padding points, like Noah, or even in some cases Ben used to do that, that's a little bit different. You're not necessarily contributing to your team. You're taking opportunities away. I like to say I'm giving my team opportunities. If I was a scorer, maybe this would look a little bit different, but that's not who I am. Right now, I'm a defensive guy. I do defensive stuff, and I don't know. It's just it's gonna grow and develop. But I don't know. The stats are kind of slowly becoming less a concern to me, and I'm starting to be more concerned about winning. But I don't want to have a bad game. I want to make sure that I'm helping my team in some way.
You heard it here first. Zach Sanders spreads for everyone.
All right.
On to the next subject. New gym, new time. Hopefully it has a 3-point line.
Yeah.
What do you guys
So
think?
big news for everybody who hasn't heard already. Entering the next draft lottery for the gyms going into next season, or not next season, the next half of the season. We are going to be moving venues to Heritage Elementary School. Now, the biggest move has been the change of time from 7:15 to 8:15. Now, there is some concern over some people possibly having to do church and missing. I understand these concerns, and as such, I'm in contact with the Parks and Rec people. And after the first few weeks, once the youth basketball leagues start to wrap up, I will be able to move us back to Thursdays. But what's your guys' opinion on this new location that we're moving to?
So
I
much
think that
better. It's so much
much
better.
much better
My bad.
location. Yeah, but uh, moving it back, especially in the middle of the week, is probably not ideal. We're going to be getting out of there by 10 and
9:15, so 9:30
9.
at the latest.
Yeah, but not really. Right.
Well, so here was a concern though. You got to think about Reese and Tyson, specifically these people that got to work into those times. They so far have not been able to show up on time due to work. Reese was only able to show up on time because he was able to get out early, and I mean you saw how big of an impact he had. So moving it back, we'll be able to get these players more playing time and actually the ability to play in AR3.
Yes, and with it being on Wednesdays, unfortunately, Zane won't be able to make it because of youth group. But Kyle Schomer should be able to make it as long as he doesn't have anything going on Wednesdays.
And this
I
leaves
haven't
room.
asked. I haven't asked him yet, but the problem with it being on Thursdays is that he had show choir, which made him unavailable. So I'm excited to see him be able to play more, even though Zane's not going to be able to make it.
Which will also make AR3 an intergender league. Can we get a round of applause? Thank you.
All right, so that about wraps up our kind of recent news headlines things here. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to the show that we're going to be doing hopefully later this week, possibly before the next AR3, maybe even Wednesday night. And that's going to be a TLT, the lunch table. A lot of you have called for a kind of more relaxed podcast, kind of similar to the one with Travis Kelsey, Jason Kelsey. Your more traditional style podcast. Sit in, let's pull up some topics, and let's just hang out. So I got some topics for that. Hopefully Wednesday night, we'll see what we can do. But just be ready for the Lunch Table podcast to be coming up here shortly. And then let's just get straight into some preparations for next week. We haven't drafted yet, which is a serious issue, so we need to be looking to do that probably tomorrow. But I'm just curious how you two are getting prepared for the game next week.
Yeah, I've been really resting especially my hip. I've been working out and everything, getting ready.
Grant, what about you?
I really got my shots nailed down.
I've been working out a bit more than usual. Unfortunately, I've had some stuff come up that's kind of gotten my head out of the game, but that almost made me miss today's podcast. Fortunately, I was able to make it, but hopefully by Thursday I'll be able to be more focused.
I've been putting in some work. Honestly, my offensive performance last week, I'm not enjoying that, and I'm trying to drive myself to be better. Specifically, me and Noah participated in a 2v2. It was 2 1 seeds even in PE, and we were balling out. I was cleaning glass defensively, offensively got a couple shots up. He as well, so I've been practicing there. I've been doing boxing, some cardio, getting that cardio up. So I'm hoping to come into Thursday much more athletic, much more violent, and much more aggressive, hoping to maybe get some points on the board. But we're gonna see how that goes. All right, and then just anybody have any final comments before we head into next week and before we get all wrapped up here?
I'm just
Yes,
excited for the game. Yeah.
something I think we missed with the new gym is that it will have a 3-point line. I think we've all agreed because it's a newer gym and it'll be nicer than the one that we've been playing at. So maybe that will increase some people's gameplay the same way that certain shoes make people run faster.
Yeah, I do agree, and I mean I'm just excited for this week. I'm excited to get another week of AR3 basketball in, and I'm excited to kind of see how everyone's been developing quite quickly this season. Um, it's honestly been a big stressor on me, Grant, even Clark has kind of hopped in there. Some of the AR3 management, I guess if you would say that, in figuring out some stuff, which you guys will hear about some upcoming changes to the league from me and Grant here shortly. which we'll fill you in on that later. But we've been working behind the scenes really hard to make sure this league runs smoothly. So I'm just hoping everything continues to work out well. I'm not winning games right now, but in the end, I'm still happy that between me, Grant, Jesse Clark, all the people that have came together to make this AR3 league run, I'm really proud of what we've been able to do so far. Any other final comments, fellas?
I have nothing.
Yeah,
All right.
Okay.
I'd like to take this time real quick before everyone leaves and let them know that I've transitioned to being bi.
All right. So my final comment is I'm going
Congratulations.
to be throwing down a windmill on Grant Harris next week because we don't take that shit in AR3.
Not gay. Bye.
Same difference. I'm throwing it down. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for Ankeny Rec Cast this week. Thank you guys all for joining us. And once again, thank you for participating in AR3. Thank you for giving me the money to be able to host this, guys, for you. And we'll catch you guys all next time. Hopefully we'll see everybody at the game on Thursday, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.